Iran has officially taken responsibility for the Ukraine-bound plane crash that took place last week. It was soon after droves of protesters actually took to the streets. This is following Iran's admission that they accidentally shot down that plane. Now, anti-government protests erupted in Iran after government officials admitted that Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 was mistakenly shot down by an Iranian missile shortly after departing from the Imam Khomeini International Airport. The crash killed 176 people on board. At that point, droves of protesters in Tehran could be seen in footage released by the news service attempting to flee as tear gas is fired into the crowd by Iranian police. Now, understand that before the Trump administration decided to assassinate Iran's top military general, Iran was already dealing with mass protests. And the mass protests had to do with the fact that the Iranian regime is being blamed, rightfully so, for a lot of cultural repression, but also the economic stress that a lot of Iranians are under. That economic stress is part of what the Trump administration is purposely doing to Iran. They pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, as we all know, in 2018, and then Trump re-implemented sanctions and slapped on even more sanctions than before the Iran nuclear deal, and that has really crippled the Iranian economy. And so people are hungry, they're frustrated, they're angry with the government there for a lot of legitimate reasons as well. The way that the US media is reporting this really leaves out that context and makes it appear as though the protest is only about this flight that was accidentally struck down. That is not the case. The Iranian community is just like the community in any other country, citizens in any other country. They have legitimate grievances with the government. They have legitimate grievances in regard to their economic situation. But nonetheless, the way that they have been met with violence by the Iranian police is something that should also be covered. Now, we're gonna show you a video. Let's keep our mics up because I wanna talk a little more about what's going on in the video that we're gonna show you. Some of these videos are making their way onto social media. As you can see, there are mass protests. Some of the videos do show that the protesters are met with an insane amount of violence, including with tear gas that's fired into the crowds. The Iranian government and Iranian police are denying that this is happening. In fact, General Hussein Rahimi, who heads Tehran's police, told local media that his officers shot tear gas in some areas to diffuse protests. However, he denied his officers used live ammunition on demonstrators. Look, I take that with a giant grain of salt. It would not be surprising if the police met the protesters with live ammunition, especially in a country like Iran.
And look, if you want goodwill, I don't know, you said for a couple of days that it was mechanical problems in the plane before you finally admitted that a missile had gone missing somehow.
Right.
And so I don't think that those protesters are gonna extend a lot of goodwill towards the government.
Right, exactly. Look, I stand in solidarity with those protesters. I think that they have a lot of legitimate concerns. At the same time, though, don't be fooled at the way that US media is kind of spinning this. Also understand that the US government wants an uprising in Iran. That's what the Trump administration was banking on before they decided to assassinate the top military general. Once they did that, there was some sort of unity in the country because there was anger and frustration toward what Donald Trump had done. Because understand, this is a sovereign country. The people of Iran, for the most part, want to determine where the future of the country goes toward, right? But the Trump administration is coming in and making decisions about all sorts of things, including how their economy is going to be affected by, our aggressive actions toward Iran. And so he put out this tweet, and this is what he put out in Farsi, by the way. To the brave and suffering Iranian people, I have stood with you since the beginning of my presidency, and my government will continue to stand with you. We are following your protest closely. Your courage is inspiring. Let's just get one thing clear. If there is unrest, suffering, to the point where you have a refugee crisis, refugees coming out of Iran, what do you think the Trump administration is gonna say to those Iranian refugees?
Continue to block them from entering the United States?
100%.
Yeah.
He does not stand in solidarity with them. I think most of them know that.
Maybe like in solidarity on the opposite side of some sort of barrier.
Right.
Yeah, that's about as much as they're gonna get. And everybody knows that. Nobody thinks that he's actually a fighter for human rights internationally. That's what he's about.
He's not a fighter for human rights in the United States. He's not a fighter for anything or anyone other than Donald Trump.
It's nonsense. And whenever we talk about situations like this happening in other countries, I feel the need to say something that's gonna sound stupid, but like, Americans learn so little about other countries and about the people of other countries. When they see the media talking, like God help us, every Trump supporter, what do they think about the Iranian people right now? Like the insane stories they're being told by Fox News. It is a culture of its own with diverse groups that have different goals, some of whom support the government, some of whom don't. Some of them are obsessed with the same sort of historical things that you are, some of them are not. It's as full and diverse as our country in literally every other way, but nobody thinks of other countries in that way. We develop at best an extremely shallow idea of what the lives of other people are like. And then we as a populace are supposed to evaluate our government's actions towards that population, a population that we don't know anything about. At best case scenario, we have minimal empathy for. It's frustrating when something like this happens because I don't trust our government in regard to the Iranian people. I don't trust most of the American people in regard to the Iranian people.
Well, I think you make a really good point, and I think that the way that education is structured in America purposely leaves us in the dark about other countries. Because think about it, if you're ignorant about other countries, then you're susceptible to the narratives pushed by our government about those countries. So that'll help garner support for military invasions, maybe preemptive wars. And when it comes to governments that are doing things right, right? Let's say all those other developed countries that have universal health care. If you're not knowledgeable about that, then you'll just think that the system we have in place here, where people will literally find themselves in financial ruin from one medical emergency, is normal. That's what you can expect from the greatest country in the world. No, we're not ignorant on these issues by accident. It is very much on purpose. And it's about time that we fight back against that. That's why, while the internet comes with a host of issues and problems that we've talked about on this show, one of the greatest things is that it does democratize information. It's just we have to fight to find a way to get the right information to people so they're not misled.
I agree.
Because that stuff is out there too.
TYT is all about challenging and disrupting the status quo, and so is Aspiration. Aspiration does not invest your money into fossil fuel businesses that harm our planet, such as pipelines and oil drilling. Instead, you'll be able to fight climate change with tools like AIM, the Aspiration Impact Measurement, and Planet Protection. They also don't hit you with outrageous fees for you to access your own money. You can even earn cash back and get free ATM uses up to 5 times a month. Head to aspiration.com/TYT to learn more. For a limited time, get 30 days of free TYT membership when you sign up.